Mansi, we are live on Facebook. You can start.
Yes. So is Mr. Preetham joining in, and should we begin later on or we should start?
Mansi, I think you can start. I'm trying to get Preetham in.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. Once again, we welcome all of you to the second episode of ECA APA Talks. And it's a honor to have all the lined up speakers for the day today. I would like to just give a brief about Early Childhood Association India and APER, which is Association for Primary Education and Research. And I will also be posting a link on the chat so that everybody who wishes to see the website, become a member, have more information about the organization, please feel free to go there. ECA is a setup with the vision that all the preschools, balwadis, NGOs, children's activity classes, parents, students, teachers, media houses, companies that deal with children's products, in short, everyone connected to young children can all come together to advocate, discuss, learn and share, connect and bring about a change in the quality of care development and learning in early childhood in India. I would also like to mention about Association of Primary Education and Research, which is a vertical which is under the aegis of ECA India, which is a recognized and registered body. APER's vision is to work on quality enhancement in primary education through collaborative action between early years program and primary schools. So, friends, this was a short introduction of ECA and APER and the mastermind behind getting this organization in place. We shouldn't be missing out on mentioning Dr. Swati Popat Vats, who's the president for both the organizations. I will be shortly putting a link on the chat, which will help you to go through the website also. So, before we begin with the session, I would like to tell everybody the flow of the day. We are having six eminent, brilliant speakers with us, the celebrated line of speakers who come from the varied field of content, arts, drama, digital, every aspect of education. I'm very happy to welcome the speakers of the day. Each speaker will be given 7 minutes to talk. And after that, so right now I'll be mentioning the name of the speakers and I will be introducing one speaker as the speaker starts talking. So we have with us Miss Bela Kotwani, Mr. Lucky Surana, Miss Fatima Agarkar, Mr. Preetham Agarwal, who will be joining us shortly due to some network issue, he is not able to join us right now, Mr. Aditya Tapadia, and Miss Vidya Murthy. So I welcome everybody and let us begin with the session. The first speaker of the day we have with us is Miss Bela Kotwani. Miss Bela Kotwani is the founder of and principal of Cosme International School, a puppet specialist, and a national core committee member of ECA. Over to you, Bela, and let audience hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Mansi, for the introduction. And good evening to everyone watching us today. My topic for today is I play, I learn. So I want you to just imagine two scenarios I'll be giving you. The first one is when a child comes back home from school and you ask him, what did you do today? And the child goes, I played. And scenario number two is if a parent is asking a child in the house, what are you doing? I'm just playing. Now keep these two scenarios in mind, and I will recite a lovely poem which is really a personal favorite of mine. It is called Just Playing by Anita Wadley. When I'm building in the block room, please don't say I'm just playing. For you see, I'm learning as I play about balance and shapes. Who knows, I may be an architect someday. When I'm getting all dressed up, setting the table, caring for the babies, don't get the idea, I'm just playing. For you see, I'm learning as I play. I may be a mother or a father someday. When you see me up to my elbows in paint or standing at an easel or molding and shaping clay, please don't let me hear you say, he is just playing. For you see, I'm learning as I play. I'm expressing myself and being creative. I may be an artist or an inventor someday. When you see me sitting in a chair, reading, To an imaginary audience, please don't laugh and think I'm just playing. For you see, I'm learning as I play. I may be a teacher someday. When you see me combing the bushes for bugs or packing my pockets with choice things I find, don't pass it off as just play. For you see, I'm learning as I play. I may be a scientist someday. When you see me engrossed in a puzzle or some plaything at my school, please don't feel the time is wasted in play. For you see, I'm learning as I play. I'm learning to solve problems and concentrate. I may be in business someday. When you see me cooking or tasting foods, please don't think that because I enjoy it, it's just play. I'm learning to follow direction and see differences. I may be a cook someday. When you see me learning to skip, hop, run, and move my body, please don't say, I'm just playing. For you see, I'm learning as I play. I'm learning how my body works. I may be a doctor, a nurse, or an athlete someday. When you look at me, what I've done in school, when you ask me what I've done in school today, and I say, I just played, please don't misunderstand me. For you see, I'm learning as I play. Learning to enjoy and be successful in my work. I'm preparing for tomorrow. Today, I'm a child and my work is play. So that was the poem, friends. I really love this poem from the bottom of my heart. And I want to connect it with what we actually do as adults. When we adults go to work, that's similarly how we go to work. For the child, his work is play. In the child's eyes, the play is his work. That's very true. How many of you agree with that? Isn't play their work? They play when they're playing, they're creating, solving problems, they are creating new things, they're understanding through play. There is no better education than play. I can write and give it to anybody. They can learn so many things from play. And first of all, when we as adults also, what we remember is we remember only our fun moments. And when the child is having fun, that's when you're going to remember all the things that you learned while playing, which is very, very important. Now, playful children tend to be happier because they are better adjusted, they are more cooperative, and they're very popular with their friends. And they also have a good social connect. They have a good social circle, so a number of friends are more, and they're much more happier. You can see them happy. And also, they build more resilience, they're more confident. So all these things get developed when the child is playing. Their skills, the mental health is better, they're more, they can speak more better, they're more confident. And I'll tell you what are the different skills a child can develop when he's playing. It stimulates the brain development. It can spark creativity and thinking. It improves communication, vocabulary, and language, and grows social competence and empathy, better physical, mental health, and better relationships. Now, these are the some pointers that I had, but I want to know that what parents can do in a lockdown situation now, and how can they play games at home without much equipment in the house. What they do is you can have, supposing a memory game you can play. If I start the game with, supposing I say mango, the other person says mango apple, the next person says mango apple banana, next will say mango apple banana pineapple. So the child will remember what the person has said before and add his own fruit after that. That's a very good memory game the parents can do at home. Another one that they can play is a very famous game called I Spy. It's I spy with my little eye. Can you see something with the letter B? So they have to go around the room looking for something starting with the letter B. Or you can say, I spy with my little eye something which is round in shape. So they have to go looking around for something that is round in shape. Or you can say, I spy with my little eye something that is blue in color. So they go around looking for something that is blue in color. So with one game, you can teach so many different aspects of the game. The child's observation skills get improved. He connects with what he has to see. His sequencing happens. So with one game, you can learn so many things at home itself. Another game that you can play is hide and seek. You could hide different objects in the house, like a treasure hunt for the older kids. You have to give them a clue. They go hunting and finding the objects. So this, without any props, you can still play so many more games with the children. Even housey, you can make a housey ticket for the child at home with just maybe numbers, could be some birds, could be like cat, bat, sat, whatever the child has learned right now. They could do that as well. And even you can put in colors, red color, blue color, whatever colors you want, make a housey, and the full family play together. Problem is the emotional connect has to be there with the family right now. So then the full family must play this game together, and the child enjoys playing and bonding with the family at the same time. Another game you can play is, I love this game because it's also gratitude. I've adapted this game to passing the parcel. When you play this game, when the parcel is passed around, when the music stops, whoever has the parcel is not out, but another person, a member from the who was playing in the house, have to say one thing that they like of the person who has got out. Maybe I like the way you smile, or like what you made for me that day. Could be different things what you like about that person. And whenever the next person gets a chance, again he talks about what they like of the other person. In the same way, the same child is out the next time, then you can also give them a hint on where he can improve upon. Say today, I did not like the way you were eating, you had only little of your breakfast, could you eat it more next time? Supposing there's some negative thing that do happen in life, and how you can motivate them to make it into a positive. So motivate them there as well. Then of course, even bowling is a very good game. I know you can have empty bottles if you have in the house, or even these takeaway dabba cans that you have in the house. Just stack them up and give them a ball which you have in the house. Just aim at the stacking ring. That's also a fantastic game for the children. Then if you have any birthday party leftover balloons in the house, you can blow up the balloons for the children, and you can ask them to just blow the balloon, and then you tap the balloon and keep it high as much as you can. Let the balloon not fall down. So they learn to concentrate, learn to balance. They learn all these things. Another fun game for children. Then we have even races you can do with your child. Supposing I keep different objects from the house, I collect and put it in the center of the room, and I go say, run and get for me only the blue color object. The child has to go find from the object which is the blue object and come back to me. But now there could be a twist in this game. You can also say hop and go. You can go zigzag and go, or put some hurdle in between. So all these can be done with the children at home as well. They really enjoy this, and it's fun for them to do it. Then you can do, I'm looking at my list of games. Housey, or memory game I mentioned, Housey I mentioned. What about hide and seek? I told you, yes. Hide and seek also I did tell you. Peekaboo games. And now let me go back to the first two examples that I gave you. Remember the first two examples? When the child is just, when you come back home from the school, what does he say? He's just playing. So I want you to think back now. I'll leave you with a deeper thought. Are you just playing, or is it I play, I learn? I end my session here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Bela. It was a wonderful session, and a lot of people have commented about your poem, and we shall be maybe putting a screenshot, or we will be sharing with them, and a lot of lovely
Sure.
ideas that you have shared with the audience. So everybody is thank you for that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Bela. The next speaker that we have for the day is Mr. Lucky Surana. Mr. Lucky Surana is the founder director of Mind Ventures International, president of Godavat Softtech, and national committee member of APER. His topic for the day is very unique, and let's see what he has to bring on the table for us. His topic is AR-peace. So Lucky, over to you, and we are very looking forward to listening to you actually.
Thank you, Mansi, for the lovely introduction. Good evening, everyone. And I hope you all are doing well. So yes, my topic is AR peace. Can I request everyone to just close your eyes for a few seconds? All the panelists, can I request you all also to just close your eyes for a few seconds? Just imagine that you're in a lush green grass. Beautiful grass and beautiful nature all around. A lot of breeze, and you see the birds chirping, you're listening to the birds chirping, lovely fragrance of the flowers. You're absolutely feeling top of the world. You're feeling that you're the blessed child on this earth. You're jumping, you're smiling, you're dancing. You're with your close ones, you're with your family, with your friends, and you're just feeling amazing. You're just feeling too good right now. Just live in this moment. Just feel this moment. Please open your eyes. So what did we do now? We just augmented our reality. And I'm sure each one of us had felt something very different. A few participants here of experiences can definitely comment what did they feel and how did they feel. Pre-COVID, if you see, all of us were busy in doing what we were doing. And we all were wishing that, what if I get a couple of days with myself? I need some time with my family. I need some time with my kids. I want to be alone. And COVID happened, lockdown happened. We were not at peace then. We are not at peace even now. And now what we are doing is we're waiting for the lockdown to open, saying that we have to do so many things. So what has happened is, in this entire thing, we have forgotten to be peaceful. All I need to say is we need to augment our peace. I want to appeal to everyone that we as educators need to be absolutely peaceful, because when we are peaceful, I think we think best. Out there are thousands of educators, thousands of parents, thousands of kids waiting to be peaceful because of us. And I've made a very simple acronym for peace. P stands for passionate. So we need to be passionate as we are. Even in any time, all the COVID time, we need to be as passionate as we are. E, we need to be enthusiastic and energetic edupreneur. This is specifically for edupreneurs because I see so many things, so many edupreneurs are not at peace for whatever reasons they are right now. The salaries, the school is not opening, the fees, and so many things. So we have to be enthusiastic and energetic always. Then A, I think we need to be ambitious always. We need to be ambitious. Just because of a certain setbacks, let's not reduce our ambitions. We need to be ambitious. Then comes C, challenge yourself and be consistent in what we are doing. Keep on challenging. This is the time we've got. This is the time we all have got. Let's challenge ourselves and be consistent. Be consistent, being passionate, be energetic, be ambitious, challenge yourself, be consistent. And E is evolve. I think we have got the best gift of consciousness, of human consciousness. So it's our responsibility to constantly evolve. If you see today, hundreds of educators, hundreds of leaders on the EC and APA community are reaching out to around 40,000 educators outside by delivering these webinars. Why? So that they can be at peace. They can enjoy these moments. They can learn something. So I think all of us need to give peace the topmost priority, because with peace, as I mentioned, we think the best. And it's time for us to also tell the parents, the kids, the educators, teachers to be peaceful. When I said my topic as AR peace, if you combine AR peace, play a Scrabble game, you will find ECA and APER in it. Thank you.
So we had a lovely acronym that Lucky shared with us today. Thank you so much, Lucky. And indeed, whatever you have mentioned, I'm sure all of them are, agreeing to it, and they are actually going by your word, and they believe in what you say. So So we move on to the next speaker of the day. We have a celebrity speaker with us today, Miss Fatima Agarkar, and she is one of the celebrated line speaker. This is the line given by her to me. So thank you. One second, I'll unmute you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for mentioning that. And it was I was really happy to learn that from you. So Fatima ma'am is the founder of ACE Academy. She's the vice president of ECA, and she's also the Mumbai territory head for APER. And ma'am, we are very happy to have you with us today. And I hand over the mic to you to take all the audience through your lovely session.
Thank you so much, Mansi. Always a pleasure. Love your energy, love your enthusiasm. Most importantly, I love your meticulous instruction and Harsha behind as well. It's lovely to be here. I think we've all agreed to that as educators. COVID-19 has taught us that the world is actually a very small space. And perhaps we didn't do enough of this in the physical world. So grateful that COVID-19 allows us to connect and collaborate in these ways. There's always a silver lining to everything. And I think COVID-19 has given us that. My topic is an interesting one because at the heart of it, I think whether it's parents or whether it's educators, anyone who's tuned in, we remain teachers. Parents were the first teachers to our children, continue to be the first ones to wake the children up, and therefore they will continue to teach. For educators, we do take that responsibility when the little ones or the older ones come to us in our classrooms. But actually, COVID-19 has taught us the one thing that scientists and researchers have been speaking about, but unfortunately their research lies locked in some cabin. It is a 50-50 partnership. It is about parenting and about educators coming together for the sake of that child. Lucky spoke about peace. Lucky spoke about mindfulness. Lucky spoke about us being in a place where we're comfortable with each other. Do you know for that child to be in that place, you need 50% parents and you need 50% teachers. This is that 50-50 partnership that will now be lived in the way it was always meant to be. I know Dr. Swati Popat loves her outsource parenting line. I know a lot of the mums are coined as helicopter mums. You know what? Forget all that. Let's be in partnership. And it is 50-50. Inspired by what Lucky has taught me and what Bela has taught me already, I had a different script, but I'm going to, on the spot, change it. I like the acronym. I think what Lucky has given me is peace, and I'm going to live by that. And I'm going to give you something in return as well, another acronym that will help you become those 22nd century educators. For God's sake, parents and teachers, we're no longer living in the 21st century. We have lost enough time anyway. We're now talking about the future, and we are not talking about 2021. We're talking about 2080. This is not going to change. This is our new normal. Every year, we're going to deal with some form of virus, some form of lockdown. We therefore need to be those 22nd century educators. And for that, my acronym is something that's already inspired me, which is COVID. So the C, me, stands for, and for educators and parents, remember it's a 50-50 partnership, so it's not one or the other, it's both of us together. Communication. For the longest time, schools were not communicating with the parents were not communicating with schools, they were talking with independent groups, and quite frankly, given that it's a partnership, everyone needs to talk to each other. Communicate frequently, tell people what their problem is, tell people what their challenges are, and therefore learn to do it together. It's for teachers, parents and teachers. You don't have to invent anything. Bela has just reminded us of games. I Spy with My Little Eye, hopscotch, stuff that we have grown up with, which is there. Let's create that content. Let's therefore come together and collaborate. Fatima doesn't have to come up with the original idea to be the most profound person on earth. And it's okay if that idea didn't come from me. But if it came from Lucky or Bela or Vidya or Aditya who's going to join in and Preetham who's waiting to join in, it's this collaboration. So as 22nd century educators, stop being territorial, share what you're doing, receive information, learn from the best. You're going to help that child in the bargain, parent or educator. So that's my C. O stands for optimization of time. I have parents and teachers tell me, you know what, sport can't be played at home. You know what, we don't have board games. You know what, e-learning is all about addiction and those that mind getting so glued into technology that you can't think. I'm sorry. It's about optimizing every opportunity you get. I'm so grateful I was born in this era and not 100 years ago when the plague happened. Because today I have technology, remain normal, to be sane, use the power of that technology, harness it. There are rules. If your child is locked onto a screen for 20 minutes, there could be off-screen opportunity for you to therefore play more, read more, dance more, sing more. Optimization of time, whether you're with the child on screen or in that physical classroom, you've anyway lost time because the children were away from you. What do you do to make up that time, therefore going deeper in learning and not adding more learning? There's a difference. Take something small, go deep, analyze it from all levels. Why do you have to add on? You know, in this country, we love our volume. I think we've grown up. Billion is just a thing that we're used to. We're not used to smaller things. COVID-19 has taught us essential all we need, and essentials need to be learned. So that's optimization time, teaching essentials. Out of box thinking. COVID-19 has taught us schools are not physical spaces. Schools are the bedrooms. Schools are the kitchen. Schools are the playground. School is actually enjoying going by elevator down and seeing other human beings. That's education. That is what out of box thinking is. Use every opportunity. You know, I didn't do this enough. I never stared out of the window, although I have a view from my house, never appreciated the little things outside. But thanks to COVID-19, it's given me the luxury of that much more time. Make sure your children do that. That's called out of box thinking, not adding on content, but appreciating what you have. The V is very, very essential, very important, because the V actually talks about being very mindful of comparison. Parents and educators, you need to go with the philosophy that your management gives you, what works for you, what works with your variables. You know, now is not the time to compare that school is doing this and that parent is doing this and that is doing this. We're not superheroes. We're just people learning to cope with what we have, and therefore be very mindful of comparing and getting into rat race, because we will create another monster. We will create another COVID-19. Instead of dealing with what we have, we're going to create that. So be very careful when you're comparing. When you're therefore communicating, be very mindful of being crisp, to the point, precise. I have Harsha's pressure at the moment because we've been told it's 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, in the corporate world, we call it elevator speech. Your whole life can be lived in those 7 minutes. You can manage in 7 minutes. Why are we boring these kids with 5? Ask yourself that question. My next one is innovation. I'm all about that. I'm all about what can you do differently to make sure those 220 days or 180 days that the children are with us, and 365 days they're with us at home as well, after school hours. What can we do to be different? What can we make out of that day that we live each day as a whole? It's not getting through the day. It's not getting through lockdown. It is actually living it as if you may never get this opportunity before. And here's where you will actually use social media. This is where you will read articles written by people in Spain, in Japan, in Korea, in Singapore that went through its lockdown again, to say, guys, appreciate what you all have. Don't just get through the day. That's where innovation will happen. That's where creativity will happen. Like Bella said, you can add a twist to the tail, passing the pass, add your own dimension to it. You're a teacher. You don't need books to teach you to do this. You can do it by simply thinking, you know what? We did very little of it pre-COVID-19. The last one is D, which is develop skills. I think that's one crime. If you get out of this lockdown and you haven't learned anything new, I don't know what we're doing. Maybe you had a lot of work. I mean, kudos to you. But honestly, skill yourself. Put a bucket list down, not of things that you will do after lockdown. What are the things that you will do within? As educators, guys, we have it tougher. I've attended many webinars. I'm actually leading a lot of webinars. And I tell you, it's very tough for me to have the same energy, the same passion, the same enthusiasm on screen. I can't see all of you. I'm talking myself, literally. Imagine how tough it is if you have to go on an e-learning route to be able to maintain that energy day in and day out. Therefore, you'll need tools of drama, play, you need curation of content, you need to collaborate with others. You know, if you're a teacher at home and your husband happens to be at home, why don't you bring him in one of the sessions and say, you know what, you taught math really well to our son. Why can't you join in my class and teach? This is innovation. This is developing something different. This is changing the rules of the game. You know what? parents and teachers were separate in two different worlds. This is the time to collaborate. How many of you know every parent in your class? How many of you know that some of them are tech guys like Lucky? Some of them are brilliant entrepreneurs like Aditya. Some of them are very, very articulate and write poetry beautifully, like Vidya does. There's so much within the parent body. Why can't we use that power? They're at home. They're in lockdown. They may be in lockdown 6 months down the line. Who knows when the schools are opening? Why can't we combine forces and call them in for some guest lecturing? Let's change the rules of the game. Let's call this the discovered disruption. Let's rethink. My worry is once we go back into the physical world, we'll forget peace, we'll forget play, we'll be stuck to academic targets simply because there is some report card to be published at the end of the day. Do you know what? All your kids done really well living through this lockdown. This is their report card. They have survived life. That itself is education. Here's your future politician, lawyer, entrepreneur with all the creativity that they have. The teachers and parents as teachers, you're going to have to think differently. COVID is the acronym I leave you with. And on that note, I must keep quiet before Harsha sounds the bell.
Thank you so much, Fatima ma'am. Before we move on to the next speaker, ma'am, if you would just spell it out, your acronym, because there are many people who are asking for the words.
Right. So it is COVID. It's easy to remember. C for communication, O for optimization of time, B for being very mindful of comparison, I for innovation, D for developing different skills. That's the acronym. Mansi, I've actually seen some of the comments. So what I can do is I can list them down and share it with you. You might
Yes.
want to put that out in
Sure.
each of the Facebook pages.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was another acronym that we learned today. And it's the time for acronym. It's easier for us to remember a few things nowadays with such a, good meaning given to that word. So thank you so much, ma'am. Now we have with us the next speaker of the day, the much more awaited Mr. Pritam Kumar Agrawal. He is the founder of Hello Kids Preschools and Riverstone Schools. He's the vice president and national co-committee member of ECA. And we have been, all the audience has been waiting patiently to see Pritam because he was not able to join the session due to some technical issues. So welcome Pritam, and over to you. Please enlighten us with your next session.
All right. Thank you, Mansi, for the introduction. And thank you, Fatima, to give the word of think, because even my talk is based on the word called think right now. The topic which I took it is tomorrow and the day after with a preschooler, right? It is very, very important, friends, because this is a learning stage for me. The learning, I say, the 45 marathon days in the last 45 days right now. So it's like a marathon. We are all running behind, learning, and learning. So yes, what we have done, it is to be very understood that nobody was prepared for the current situation. And hats off to each and every teachers, those who are connected with your child right now. So that is called a teacher right now, because we are a fast learner, right? We are a fast learner, and we at this moment are there with our kids right now. So we had challenges, we had some other learning, we have limitations, we have challenges of internet, materials and everything. But the topic which I took it and I wanted to share with you was, what next is the word. Friends, the child is too young, right? We are an early child educators, we are teachers, and friends, hats off to all the early childhood educators also, that as teachers, that we are multitasking. We are the storyteller, we are the craft maker, we are the mother, we are the fitness expert, we are the dance experts. We move with each and every child what they demands in the classes. We are not a subject expert only when we do only one subject in the classes. We do multitasking, and that is the reason, friends, we were able to adapt the situation very, very easily. So that is what we have, that learning deal with us. So we understand if it's my experience in the past into small towns, small villages, teachers, friends, we need to be a master of each and every topics. Friends, this is a personal experiences. Don't take it as a personal, but we have to go to the child with a preparation, right? Earlier, the job was teach the child to learn, but now I'm taking Fatima's word, teach the child to think, let the child to explore. But before we go back to the child, are we all prepared, right? If we are not prepared, we cannot be instant. We cannot reply the child instantly. We do not give a different path to the child when we are not prepared. So when we say that this is not a general practice, but we have to see that if I'm going to perform today in the class for that 2 hours or that 3 hours, what new I can do with the child today. That I say 200 new things in the class every day, 200 new thought process of yours can change the world of the child. So when we are prepared, we know what is going to happen. We can see, we can foresee something, and this is a young child. Friends, even we know how fast these cartoon networks are. We have a very less attention span of the child, right? When we have a less attention span of child, that is the reason you were made a art and craft teacher, a science teacher, as a dramatic teacher, and this is how you perform according to the child's needs. So when we have to perform as and when the child time permits, we have to have ourselves prepared. So this is the best time, friends. Do not wait for somebody to force you that you are going to learn something once your school management tells you to learn something. This is the right time. Pick up some 10, 15 different topics that today I'm going to learn about how drama can help in the early childhood classes, how I can talk about fitness, how I can do the basic movements in that fitness, and what is the importance of fitness in that early childhood. So I am still learning in the last 10 days, and I have taken 10 topics that I will be ready once this is over or when it is not over, that I am ready for the tomorrow's talk on fitness, on nutrition, on the body parts, on the movement. So this is the right time, friends. 1 hour of your learning can give a different thought processes in the child. So when we are prepared, we know what is instant. When we are not prepared, when we are with the child and we are not prepared, the child will not follow you for a long. This is not the time of academics. We all know about it, and even in the future, right? The academics is what the child is not accepting us on everyday basis. So as a teacher, as a preschool teacher, I say that can we make a daily routine, a 200 best practices, 200 new things which I can do it with my children. Apart from whatever you are doing, there is no disturbances to that. Some 200 new small activities or learnings which I can give it to my young child. So that is only possible when I am prepared. This is only possible when you know that and know the different subject on a very clear understanding according to the situation. So that is my message from my side to each and every teachers about the word given by Fatima, and that is the next. What is next for tomorrow is what we need to understand.
Thank you so much, Preetham. It was a wonderful session. I'm sure there are a lot of takeaways from this session as well. We move on to the next speaker. We have Mr. Aditya Tapadia with us. Mr. Aditya is the director for Jumpstart International Kindergarten Pune School, and he is also the national committee member of ECA. So I welcome Aditya, and I hand over the screen to you. I am used to saying mic again and again because I'm used to introducing all of you eminent speakers on the conferences and not on the virtual meetings that we have. So over to you, Aditya.
Thank you so much, Mansi. I've chosen a topic which is very close to my heart, which is passion and business. And in this current turbulent times, most of us are really wondering what to choose, passion or business. or can we really balance both of them? So when I was small, a lot of people used to ask me that what is your passion? And like me, 80% of the people didn't know what passion is or what their passion is. There were 20% of the people who might be knowing that their passion is art appreciation or music or traveling. But like me and other 80% of the people were always confused and wondering, like, is going to movie a passion, or probably eating street food is a passion? Well, just not to sound funny, we used to adopt some smart idea of passion, saying, you know what, book reading is my passion. And that's the true concept where most of us don't know what our passion is. And over a period of time, I've tried to read a lot of books on what passion is. And the best answer which I could find of what passion is passion is a state of mind where you lose the sense of time, you lose the sense of space, you lose the sense of money. Passion is something where there's no concept of tiredness. You can keep on going and going uh, without anything stopping you. There's nothing which is stopping you in that state of passion. But the question is, can you find passion every day? It's really not possible to find passion every day. So what does that mean? If we cannot be passion, we cannot have a different passion every day. But that takes us to the next point. Can we be passionate towards the things what we are doing every day? Passion and passionately doing things passionately are two different things. Whatever is on our plate, doing those with a state of with a space where we don't know what time is, what space is, and what money is, can also result in probably some point of the time finding your own passion. What currently we are all wondering is, we don't know whether we are passionate about something or do we have a passion for something. Most of the people think that passion is something which probably you do in your private time, and something is different in your business space. But that's not true. I think passionate attitude itself can be incorporated into our day-to-day lives. I feel most of us in this space are educationalists, and 80% of us might have chanced upon as education, as an education field. In this current situation, business is paused, but passion is not paused. In this situation, how do we really find things which we can do passionately? It is very easy to say, keep cultivate new activities, find out new things which you can do, but is it really possible to find new different ways by which we can evolve? Probably we need to think that as an educationalist, as 80% of the people who have chanced upon education in their plate, can we find new creative ways of delivering into a classroom which we were actually operating before COVID? Before COVID, we were in a class of 20 kids and we were operating for those 20 kids. Now, post COVID, where we have 45 days in our hand, probably next 20 more days, can we think of new innovative ways by which we can deliver certain things to children while sitting home? Everyone is talking about virtual world. Everyone is saying that classrooms have to go virtual and that's the new way ahead. But is it really possible? There are certain challenges with virtual classrooms. How we as educators can evolve with these challenges. No one has a right to fit answer. I have a different philosophy which I follow at my school. Everyone has a different philosophy which they follow at their school. And the only way we can evolve as educators is to try, experiment a certain way on virtual classrooms, evolve, take a feedback. We need to talk with parents. We need to understand that whether child was able to get this concept or not, whether there is anything which I can change in my classroom. Again, go reinvent, put up your creative hat again, and come and again deliver something new next day. And that's the only way ahead where we can actually try to be passionate about what we are doing, try to find out new things, evolve with new material, what we can come up with. I've been um, finding out few words, and one of the words which most of the people currently say is survival of the fittest. But in current state, the status is for survival of the quickest. We all need to know that even though we are passionate about education, or we are in this, we need to change, and we need to change quickly. We need to adapt to new things, and the adoption can only happen with experimenting, feedback, again re-implementing the whole thing. Moving on to my last point of the leadership. when we are talking about the business and passion, we have a lot of leaders also on this platform. And I would like to urge to all the leaders in this current situation, we have a lot of teachers who are associated with our organization. Please make an environment which is conducive for the creative thinking and for them to give an output. We don't know what suits best for any teacher or for your school, but at this time, it is very important that we let teachers be at peace and let them innovate, let them have some time where they can come up with certain creative ideas. This is also a good time to actually communicate with your team and not only be with them for a cause that you're paying them a salary and they're conducting certain classes for you. I think you need to connect with your team and tell them what is your true purpose, what do you really believe in, why are you in this education as a field. I'm talking to all the leaders where they need to come and really make your team believe what are your purpose of this entire thing you are into this industry for. And probably once you do that, your team will stick with you in this difficult times. It is at the same time, it is also very important. Most of us have these questions that, what, we don't know how we'll pay salaries, we don't know how we'll pay rent. We think the entire year, next year is gone, there will be no admissions. I think the only way to solve this problem is through communication. The communication with every stakeholder in your school. I think we need to start talking with parents. I think we need to start getting their feedback, knowing what they want, what exactly they are expecting out of a virtual setup. I think we need to start talking with our teachers more frequently, understanding the challenges, how we can evolve, whether moving forward, hybrid sort of a education system is going to be in place where probably the video content is delivered at home and child will come to school for interaction and for social development. We don't know what is the right answer, but that is something which communication will get us to. We need to start talking with our didis. Probably they are the most hit and who do the biggest job in our educational institute is the didis. We need to start talking with them, and we also need to start with our landlords, with vendors, whoever is associated with our school, and start explaining them what situation we are going through and what was the belief, what was the purpose why we started this, and how we are going to get through this year. Like Jack Ma said, that getting through this year itself is a big achievement. I think we all as leaders can actually communicate with all possible person who is associated with our organization, have a dialogue with them and find a solution. I'm sure everyone will be able to survive through this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Apart from your session about, we have been getting a lot of comments on your lovely backdrop. So somebody has written they have liked the backdrop with the wall painting of, or the stars are there and the smiling stars are there. So they are very happy to see that. So thank you so much, Aditya, for a lovely session.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have the next speaker of the day, Miss Vidya Murthy. Again, she is one of the speakers will be listening to the first time, and basically her topic for the day is very interesting. So let me first introduce her. Miss Vidya Murthy is the CEO of Bassett Education India. She is the territory head of APER PCMC committee. So the topic that ma'am is going to talk about is laugh, humor during crisis. That's amazing topic, ma'am, because in this time of COVID and social distancing, I think there are people who have gone emotionally distant also. And thanks to the webinars and thanks to speakers like you that we have got this opportunity and we are able to hear you. So ma'am, over to you, and we are looking forward to hearing you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. It's always an honor to be here and always nice to share the platform. I've worked with most of my co-panelists on some project or the other, except Bela, and I hope that we can collaborate soon as well. I'm just listening to all of you. There's an advantage to going last. And I think the advantage to going last is you kind of try to get an opportunity to weave in what everybody else is saying. And Bela, you spoke so beautifully about playing and how that builds critical skills. Lucky, I think your take on peace, the acronym that you gave us all, just as a take back. Fatima, what you said about 21st century skills, so correctly pointing out aspects like communication and innovation and staying away from comparison. I loved what Preetham said as well about trying to innovate in daily things, and I think that holds so much merit. And what use is all our work if we don't find passion in it? So I think when Aditya spoke about trying to align our career choices with our passion, Aditya, it was just bang on, I thought, because it struck a chord with me personally. Um, and while we are all talking about all of these beautiful things, we're talking about peace and encouraging children and letting kids be kids and nurturing ourselves to find our passion and develop communication. And when we talk about all of these lovely things, um, of what use is it if we can't laugh at ourselves? Of what use is it if we cannot laugh at, not at, with others around us? Yes, we are educators. Yes, it's a serious business. But you know what? More than educators, I think we're all humans. I think we need to loosen up. It's okay to laugh. And I really think humor is what sees us through every single day. It's ridiculous how we've lived our life in the past 45 days. But in so many ways, we are better for it. We have more memories in these 45 days than the best vacations all of us have taken across continents. I think, it is humor that is seeing me through this. And it has been my learning personally, devoid of any theory, any science. It almost seems like common sense. My kids laugh more, I laugh more. When I pick up and then when I talk to my colleagues, members on our teams, when we collaborate, everybody is just a little bit more relaxed. And I think that humor is empowering. And that brings me, I think, to just a few points that I would like to chime in here about humor. And who doesn't know? Laughing is great. Okay, it's great because we can deal with stress better, we can think better, we have clarity of thought, we can balance our emotions better, we give off better vibes. People want to come and work with us. And even scientifically, all of us know that we have about 4 good hormones that work for all of us: oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins. Laughing is the only thing that all of us can do that triggers all 4 of these good juices inside our head. So let's not take ourselves so seriously. The show will go on, the show must go on, and whether you want it or not, the show will go on by itself, right? So I think, especially in education, it's probably a great time for us to connect as humans. We are working with children here. They laugh way easier than we laugh. A child laughs 209 times a day. I, on a good day, when my office is normal, I laugh about 18 times a day. I laugh 18, a child laughs 209. Get this. We all get about 50,000 random thoughts in our head every single day, 50,000. And a whopping percentage of that, more than 80% of those, are negative thoughts, which kind of hold us back. And we're all living in the misery of imagined problems, of tragedies that have never occurred, never will, that are not possible. So my request, I think, here to everybody, and I appeal to everybody to focus on the power of humor, not just from an aspect of how it makes you look as a leader. And we'll talk about why humor is such an important tool when you're trying to build yourself as a leader and one who almost exudes participative leadership. When people figured this out, Stanford figured this out, and they're offering a mandatory course in their MBA programs, and it's called Humor in Business. And the researchers there, actually a person there, Professor Aker, she actually conducted a study. And she said that she found that kids laugh a lot. Young tweens, they laugh a lot. teenagers laugh a lot. And somehow, when everybody got into the work life out of college, they stopped laughing. And there's actually a word for it. It's called the humor cliff. And I think most of us have fallen off the humor cliff because I think we take ourselves too seriously. Why is it that I think laughing is so important? And I'm just going to leave you with a few tips here that might help you to weave in laughing and humor into your everyday work life. Basically, humor makes you look like you're in control. A person who's really troubled in a situation, you can't joke. It's not possible. And I think humor demonstrates power. It assures, it helps in team building, it demonstrates intelligence, it enlivens the work atmosphere. It proves that you can think on the spot and you have empathy because you can be flattering when you crack a joke. And most importantly, I think that we should all remember that if I'm in my office and if I'm joking a lot, it doesn't mean that I'm taking my work lightly. I think levity in the way that you operate and laughing more does not mean that you don't understand business or you don't understand money. In fact, I think it makes you an even more powerful leader. There's some key things that I think that are important to remember when we all joke. And those key aspects, it was easy for me to make an acronym, and I'm going to let you all make your own acronyms out of it, because I think that it's essential that when you're joking, it's important to demonstrate empathy, to be spontaneous, laugh with, don't laugh at. Laugh with your team, don't laugh at somebody. Be responsible, cognizant of what's politically correct, and be choosy in what aspects we joke about, because it can demonstrate a lot of deeper thoughts and the way that you think. Let it demonstrate higher thoughts like equality and encouragement and nurturing each other, and let it be positive, because that's what we all need, especially at a time like this. And I think that always, if you can, joke in a setting, I really wish that we would joke in a way that was inclusive. That if I would crack a joke now, I would rope in Preetham and I would rope in Fatima and I would say, come Aditya, laugh with me. Hey, Lucky, you too. And I would want all of us to joke and then turn around and ask Mansi what she thinks. And I think that demonstrates leadership. It's an essential human trait. It's important. It's good for your business. It makes you a better human being. It makes you a better boss. It makes you a better teacher. It makes you a better leader. And I think the power of humor and the tragedy of the power of humor is that it is neither understood nor applied to the best that it can be. I don't know what else to say, and I guess my time's coming up, but the next time that I give a talk on humor, I know I'll want Aditya's virtual background. Thank you all.
So cute.
Thank you so much, Vidya ma'am. It was a great session, and there are a lot of people who were relating to what you said. There are people who could, it was more of an talk which they were empathizing with. So thanks to you. I thank all of you, Bela Kotwani, Lucky Surana, Ms. Fatima Agarkar, Preetham Agrawal, Aditya Tapadia, Vidya Murthy, and I have my very dear friend also with us, Harsha Girish Ramaya. She's a partner to me. She's my technology partner, and she was the one who was managing the back-end technicalities. So thank you, everybody. And before we end the session, I would like to thank all the participants, all the attendees on behalf of Dr. Swati Popat Watts, on behalf of Early Childhood Association India, and on behalf of Association for Primary Education and Research, APA. Stay tuned with us. We will be coming up with episode 3 next Monday from 4 to 5. So please visit our Facebook page, our website, and stay tuned and stay updated. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Have the rest of
Mansi.
the evening.
Thank you.
Very great evening. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
See you.
Nice
Stay
meeting
well,
you all.
everyone.
Sure.
You too. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.